Angela Kelly is the first ever in-house designer in British royal history and styles the Queen.
After decades of working behind palace walls, one of the most trusted hands in the royal wardrobe has finally stepped into the spotlight. At 67, Queen Elizabeth's former stylist, who helped craft some of Her Majesty's most iconic looks, has made a jaw-dropping announcement that's leaving royal fans stunned. This isn't just about fashion. It's about secrets, personal memories, and a side of the Queen the public rarely saw. What did she reveal after all these years of silence, and why now? This revelation changes everything we thought we knew about the late monarch. The remarkable rise of Angela Kelly. She wasn't born in a palace, but fate had a different throne in mind. Angela Kelly, with her thick Liverpudlian accent and unpretentious charm, never fit the mold of a royal insider. And perhaps that's exactly why Queen Elizabeth II welcomed her in. Long before cameras captured her next to the monarch or tabloids speculated about their friendship, Angela's story began far from tiaras and tapestries. In the modest council estates of Liverpool, born in 1957 to a crane operator father and a nurse mother. No luxury, no connections, just grit, character, and a sharp eye for details. It wasn't a dramatic twist of destiny that catapulted her into royal life. It was a conversation, one so casual it could have been forgotten. In October 1992, while working as a housekeeper at the British Embassy in Berlin, Angela met the Queen during a diplomatic visit. Instead of freezing in awe, she chatted freely and mentioned her plans to return to England. That offhand remark? It changed everything. Months later, Angela was invited to join the royal household. By early 1993, she was dressing the Queen. Now, dressing a monarch isn't just about zippers and buttons. It's theater, diplomacy, and symbolism all stitched together. Angela wasn't just selecting coats and brooches, she was curating messages, ensuring every look said precisely what the Queen wanted the world to hear without speaking a word. And that role grew, quietly but powerfully. After just 3 years, Angela became the senior dresser, stepping into a space once held by Bobo MacDonald, the Queen's dresser since childhood. Those were enormous shoes to fill, but Angela didn't walk in anyone's shadow. She cast her own. So, what made her different? Angela listened, not just with her ears, but with empathy. She became someone the Queen could rely on, not only in matters of style, but in silence, in grief, and in laughter. She was by her side during travels, photo sessions, state visits, and quiet moments behind closed doors. There were no selfies, no Instagram posts, just two women, years apart in age and worlds apart in origin, building something deeply human. Trust. It didn't happen overnight. Angela's loyalty and eye for detail slowly earned her a place in the Queen's inner circle. Eventually, she was granted an extraordinary title: personal advisor and curator of Her Majesty's jewelry, insignias, and wardrobe. This was more than ceremonial. It meant she held in her hands not only priceless gems, but the heritage of a nation. She researched foreign customs for diplomatic visits, ensured every outfit aligned with tradition, and infused every ensemble with intention. Even the angle of a hat, the choice of a color, the decision to reuse fabric from a previous decade, Angela made sure nothing was left to chance. But even with all the responsibility, she never changed who she was. That Liverpool accent never softened. Her sense of humor remained cheeky, often catching the Queen herself off guard in laughter. In a palace built on centuries of formality, Angela's irreverence was not rebellion. It was refreshing. So, what really bound them together? Was it mutual respect? Shared wit? A quiet defiance of expectations? We may never know the full story. But one thing is certain: Angela Kelly didn't just serve the Queen. She stood beside her, in brocade and in silence, in ceremony and in private, offering loyalty laughter, and a kind of friendship few could ever claim. And if royal whispers are to be believed, there's still more to this story than we've seen. But what truly earned Angela Kelly a place beside the Queen? Wit? Loyalty? Or something deeper? Stay glued to your screen. The Silent Genius. Behind the Queen's Crown. No one expected the most surprising royal moment to involve a pair of shoes, a forgotten piece of silk, and a quiet woman with a needle and unmatched intuition. Yet here we are, decades later, still uncovering the magic of Angela Kelly, the woman who didn't just dress Queen Elizabeth II. She helped define her. It wasn't just tailoring or accessorizing. Angela understood the Queen in a way few others ever could. While cameras flashed and headlines raved about yet another perfectly chosen brooch or brightly colored coat, Angela was behind the scenes, asking the real questions. Would this shade translate well through a sea of waving flags? Would the wind in Scotland ruin this hemline? Could the world feel the Queen's message in silence, just by the way she looked? There were no design briefs, no stylist boards filled with celebrity trends. Angela was predicting weather patterns, studying cultural traditions, reviewing state protocols, and doing it months in advance. A November tour in Kenya might have had its roots in her work table by spring. That's how meticulous she was. And it didn't end with the dresses. One of Angela's most touching confessions, largely missed by the public, was her quiet tradition of breaking in the Queen's shoes herself. No headlines, no press releases, just her walking palace corridors in size 4 royal pumps to make sure Her Majesty would never suffer a blister at a state banquet or garden party. She wasn't told to do it, she just knew. That's what made Angela's loyalty legendary, not the grandeur, but the thoughtfulness. But don't be fooled into thinking her realm was all pearls and pastel. Angela made bold moves. One of the most jaw-dropping moments she orchestrated? A private photo session that went completely off script. No stiff collars, no press briefings, no rehearsed smiles. Just the Queen, hands in her pockets, relaxed and human. A single frame from that session whispered a louder message than any royal speech. This was a monarch who could evolve. That decision stirred quite a tension. After all, showing vulnerability or even comfort wasn't how the crown was traditionally worn. Yet Angela and the Queen both agreed. It was time. Some say that the photo alone changed the way many people saw Elizabeth, less as a symbol, more as a woman. But what truly pushed royal boundaries during a secret photo shoot with the Queen? Stay glued. This changes everything. The untold stories of Queen Elizabeth's playful majesty. When the world tuned into the London 2012 Olympics, millions expected a grand spectacle, a nod to Britain's rich heritage, maybe a tune from Paul McCartney, or a Shakespearean flourish. What nobody saw coming was Queen Elizabeth II stepping into the spotlight, not just as a monarch, but as a surprising movie star. Then, with cinematic flair, they board a helicopter and, well, the Queen's stunt double parachutes into the Olympic Stadium, while Her Majesty appears live in the royal box to thunderous applause. A playful, modern spirit ready to surprise the world. The mastermind behind this bold move was none other than Angela Kelly, the Queen's trusted dressmaker and confidant. Far more than a stylist, Angela was the quiet force enabling these moments of spontaneity and warmth. She had long sensed the Queen's mischievous side hidden beneath the stately exterior, those flashes of humor and lightness that remained private and precious. When the daring idea of the Olympic cameo surfaced, many doubted the Queen would agree. But Angela believed otherwise. She saw it as a rare chance for the monarch to connect with a new generation without sacrificing her dignity. Her gentle encouragement helped the Queen break tradition with grace and charm. Angela's closeness with the Queen wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Take the time she placed a lifelike stuffed cuckoo bird outside the palace window, telling the Queen it was a wild visitor summoned by the Commonwealth. The Queen's initial serious scrutiny gave way to a genuine laugh, a rare moment of shared humor revealing their special bond. In a world ruled by strict protocol, Angela was a breath of fresh air, someone who could bring laughter to the palace's quiet halls. Behind every dazzling public appearance, the perfectly matched earrings, the flawlessly fitted hat, the shoes worn just right, was Angela's unseen care. She helped the Queen feel human in the eye of the world's cameras, steadying her with a discreet joke or a gentle adjustment, moments before stepping into the flashbulbs. The elegance the public admired was only part of the story. The real magic was the friendship and trust that made it possible. The 2012 Olympics was just one chapter. Angela Kelly's role behind the scenes shaped many such unforgettable moments, quietly weaving humanity and warmth into the fabric of royal history. Could there be more surprises yet, waiting behind the crown? Fans love to wonder and imagine. But what hidden moments of warmth and the traditional tea in the royal history? Stay glued to your screen. How tradition and tea keep royal history alive. In the quiet corners of the royal household, where grand ceremonies meet everyday life, Angela Kelly has quietly shaped moments of history with subtle brilliance. Beyond the dazzling appearances and public spectacles, her influence runs deep, preserving legacies and weaving emotions into the very fabric of the monarchy. One story, blending creativity and tradition, stands out: the resurrection of a fragile royal heirloom, saved not by science or technology, but by a humble cup of Yorkshire tea. The year was 2004 when Queen Elizabeth II approached Angela with a delicate mission. The royal christening gown, a garment stitched first in 1841 for Queen Victoria's eldest daughter, had become too fragile to endure. Worn by more than 60 royal babies across generations, including the Queen's own descendants, the gown carried centuries of family history. Yet time had worn the fabric thin, making even the gentlest touch a risk. The Queen wasn't interested in a modern replacement that might look out of place. She sought a recreation that honored the original's spirit, a gown that would feel as if it had always belonged to the family. This wasn't just tailoring, it was a resurrection of tradition entrusted to Angela's expert hands. With meticulous care, Angela and her team examined every stitch, every fold, sourcing exquisite Italian lace and silk from just the right place, ensuring the new gown mirrored the original's elegance. But a challenge arose. The lace looked too fresh, lacking the soft, warm glow born from decades of gentle wear. To the Queen, the gown needed to look lived in, aged gracefully, not like a costume. Inspired by a distinctly British touch, Angela brewed a strong batch of Yorkshire tea and used it to stain the lace, bathing it in a warm, creamy tint that whispered of history. This simple yet ingenious step transformed the gown into a living tribute, blending the past with the present. When the new christening gown debuted in 2008, worn quietly by James Viscount Severn, it wasn't just a garment, it was a symbol. Since then, it has wrapped royal babies like Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and Archie Harrison in its folds, a subtle thread connecting generations. Each public appearance of the gown serves as a gentle reminder of enduring tradition and the unseen hands that preserve it. Angela's work goes far beyond fashion. It embodies a deep respect for legacy, a willingness to innovate within boundaries, and a love for detail that keeps royal history alive. One stitch, one idea, one cup of tea at a time. Even during the world's quietest moments, like the pause in 2020, her care ensured that the Queen's life inside the castle remained filled with grace and continuity. Could such behind-the-scenes devotion be the secret to the monarchy's resilience? And what other quiet miracles has Angela Kelly woven into royal life? These are the questions that make us wonder about the untold stories still waiting to be shared. But what quiet role did Angela Kelly truly play during the Queen's most isolated days? Stay glued. This changes everything. Angela Kelly and the Quiet Royal Pandemic Years. When the world suddenly ground to a halt in early 2020, the grand halls of Windsor Castle felt the impact just as deeply as the outside streets. The glittering pageantry that once defined royal life, state dinners, official trips, and public ceremonies, vanished overnight. In their place came silence, simplicity, and an unexpected intimacy few had ever glimpsed before. Inside those ancient stone walls, Queen Elizabeth II's life shrank to essentials. No public appearances, no crowds, just a handful of trusted faces and quiet days. Among those was Angela Kelly, a woman who had long been more than just the Queen's dresser. Angela became part of what the palace quietly referred to as the bubble, a small select group of around 20 staff who isolated alongside the Queen and Prince Philip. They gave up everything. Family visits, normal routines, even weekends turned into months locked away. Their sacrifice was a shield, protecting the monarch whom Angela had served for decades. In this new reality, Angela's role shifted drastically. She wasn't merely arranging silk gowns or selecting hats for grand events. Without the usual entourage of stylists and helpers, she took on many hats herself: caretaker, companion, even hairstylist. Each morning, Angela meticulously styled the Queen's iconic curls for video calls, every detail handled with the same devotion, but without the familiar bustle of the palace glam team. The once vibrant corridors now echoed with stillness. The elaborate rituals gave way to simple meals and quiet routines. Yet within that calm, a rare closeness blossomed between the Queen and Angela. Afternoon teas brought moments of shared laughter and silent comfort as the world outside wrestled with fear and loss. That loss became deeply personal in April 2021, when the Queen's beloved husband, Prince Philip, passed away after more than 70 years together. No cameras captured the private grief they shared. But Angela was a steady presence, offering quiet strength. She was there when the Queen prepared for Philip's funeral, a solemn event marked by social distancing and masked faces, an image of solitude that spoke volumes about the times. But the story didn't end with isolation and sorrow. As the world slowly emerged from lockdown, Angela Kelly made a bold, unprecedented move. She opened a door long sealed shut and revealed what few outside the palace walls had ever known. Through her memoir, The Other Side of the Coin, Angela shared the unseen world of royal life. Not scandal, not gossip, but truth. Stories of laughter over breakfast, moments of silence during the longest of days, and the simple, human connection behind the crown. For the first time, the public glimpsed the Queen not just as a figure of tradition and ceremony, but as a woman with quirks, quiet strength, and a deep humanity. Angela's words peeled back the polished veneer of monarchy to reveal its beating heart, a story of loyalty, resilience, and the courage to embrace change quietly but profoundly. Royal watchers were stunned, not by sensational headlines, but by the power of honest storytelling from within the palace itself. Angela Kelly had done the unimaginable. She had lived inside the Queen's world for over 20 years and then chose to share it, reshaping how we all see the monarch behind the crown. What will the next chapter hold? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: this story has only just begun. But what hidden truths about the Queen's private world did Angela Kelly quietly expose, changing everything? Stay glued to your screen. How Angela Kelly revealed the queen we never knew. At 67, Angela Kelly did more than a huge announcement. She cracked open the palace walls and invited the world in. This wasn't just any memoir. It was a royal invitation granted by none other than Queen Elizabeth II herself. Known for her unwavering respect for tradition, privacy, and protocol, the Queen gave Angela an extraordinary gift: permission to reveal their personal bond while still reigning. No former staff had ever been entrusted with such a privilege. This rare endorsement transformed Angela's book, The Other Side of the Coin, The Queen, the Dresser, and the Wardrobe, into an instant global sensation. But this wasn't gossip or scandal. It was warmth and honesty, dressed in royal elegance. Far beyond the glittering tiaras and stiff collars, Angela painted a portrait of a monarch unseen by official cameras. This was the woman who quietly laughed at inside jokes, who insisted on her scarves folded just so, and who trusted Angela to ease the ache in her new shoes by discreetly wearing them first. More than a dresser, Angela was the keeper of the Queen's moods, a silent companion in moments when words fell short. For decades, she stood just out of the spotlight, until now, when the Queen's quiet blessing allowed her to step forward. Writing this memoir was no easy feat. The palace has long been a fortress of silence, with unspoken rules that kept staff in line. Never reveal, never speak. Angela's decision to share these intimate glimpses risked unsettling the delicate balance of royal discretion. Whispers rippled through Buckingham Palace halls. Some felt she'd crossed a line, ventured too close to the monarch's inner world, threatening the sanctity of the crown's mystery. Yet, Angela's loyalty lay not with tradition, but with the Queen herself, who had declared, "It's time the world saw this side of me." Within those pages, readers discovered more than gowns and ceremonies. They found laughter spilling over a wardrobe mishap, jewelry chosen for its heartfelt meaning, and a queen unmasked by routine and royal expectation. This was Elizabeth as a person, thoughtful, practical, sometimes playful, and profoundly human. The public embraced this new intimacy, making the book a bestseller while the palace courtiers bristled quietly at the disruption. Still, Angela's story didn't end there. Behind the scenes, a secret lingered, one the Queen had never revealed until now. A hidden desire, a side of Elizabeth that few, if any, had ever glimpsed. What was this secret wish? How did it reshape our understanding of a monarch who seemed so defined by tradition? Fans can only wonder and speculate, but one thing is clear. Angela Kelly's courageous memoir has changed the royal narrative forever, showing us that even crowns can hold secrets waiting to be told. But what secret longing did the Queen quietly reveal that defied royal tradition? Stay glued. This changes everything you thought you knew. When the Queen put her hands in her pockets, for someone who carried the weight of a centuries-old crown, Queen Elizabeth II had an unexpected secret. Not a scandal, but a quietly radical wish. Behind those perfectly curated portraits and royal waves was a woman who in the last years of her reign wanted the world to see more than just a monarch. She wanted to be seen as herself. Most people remember the Queen for her formality, those signature hats, the pearls, the practiced posture. Her public image was as tightly stitched as one of her ceremonial gowns. But according to Angela Kelly, her longtime dresser and confidant, that image only told half the story. In her revealing memoir, The Other Side of the Coin, Angela hinted at a lesser-known side of Elizabeth. Practical, warm, quietly rebellious. Rumor has it that one of the most surprising requests the Queen ever made was for an informal photo session. No crown, no courtiers, just her, relaxed, away from the spotlight, and the result? A now famous photo of Her Majesty standing with her hands casually tucked into her coat pockets. It sounds simple, maybe even accidental, But to those who knew the royal rulebook, it was practically revolutionary. That single image spoke louder than decades of stiff portraits. It whispered of a queen who knew exactly what tradition required, but dared to bend it. A queen who didn't need a throne to look regal. Was it a silent protest? A playful wink at the centuries of expectations? Or just a woman saying, "This is me?" Angela Kelly says it was more than a whim. It was the Queen's quiet way of reconnecting with the people, not as a sovereign, but as a woman with stories, laughter, and yes, even a sense of thrift. From reusing royal fabrics instead of buying new ones to chuckling at April Fool's jokes, Elizabeth had a surprisingly down-to-earth side. Who knew the Queen was so frugal, or that she adored clever pranks? While palace walls kept many secrets, Angela's insights pulled back the velvet curtain. Just a little. They didn't rewrite history, but they reshaped it, adding warmth to the woman beneath the crown. And maybe that's why so many readers felt moved. They weren't just seeing a ruler anymore, they were finally meeting Elizabeth. So now we ask, if one casual photo could reveal so much, what else might still be hidden in the royal vaults? But what do you think truly drove the Queen's most unexpected decision at 67 through her trusted stylist's revelation? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.